a question here which is practical and relatable. So if you suppose you have a friend who you are very close to, and that friend is doing something which you are very sure that it is definitely on the wrong track. Maybe they are doing this on the spur of the moment, or they've got this brainwave, or whatever. The reason could be anything. They are convinced about their route, and you know for sure that this could backfire very badly at that point of time, and you are the only person who knows, and you are your questioning is the only thing that that can stop it from happening. At that point, would you question something like that?
So I don't understand. Sorry.
So,
Uh,
for example, if your friend is doing something that is going to harm them considerably, so
okay.
and you know it for a fact, but that they are trying to be reckless because they enjoy the excitement or the adrenaline rush. So my question to you is, at that point, you cannot convince them, you can't do. So how are you going to question? Will you question them?
I'd stop them from doing it, and if I could in any way find a way to stop them. If I knew that I was correct, and if I asked other people and they said yes, you are correct, and even if I asked other people to try and convince them that with the same way I'm saying do not do this, and they still don't listen, I will try to find ways I could stop them from doing this. So yeah, I would question it. I
Yeah.
would put my
And,
foot down.
so now I want to open the conversation to a different emotional level of a question with this answer that you gave. So if the
Yeah.
friend were to say that you are my friend, how can you go against that? How would you explain this?
So how would I explain that they shouldn't do this?
That why are you questioning? Why don't you side with me and help me? Say they want money to do something that is not good, and they have managed it in some manner, or they are asking for help and you are refusing, and you are trying to make them stop even if they've got the money, for example. It could
Yeah.
be as simple as just shopping without their parents' knowledge.
Okay.
As simple as that. And you're trying to stop it from happening because it's the wrong thing according to you.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, that person would say, "You are my friend. Why are you siding with others? Why don't you?" So, how would you explain it to them?
If it was the right thing that I'm saying to do, I would just like try to tell them it's because I want the best. I don't want you as a friend. I care for you and I wouldn't want you to get hurt, or I wouldn't want an outcome that would affect you badly to happen. Although you may be seeing the good point of view or what could happen, that is a very small chance of happening, and my outcome is more. It has a bigger likelihood of happening.
So, okay, on that note, there's another question that came to mind. What are good questions? What are bad questions, according to you?
Mm, so, questions from the friend or from me?
Sorry, come again.
Questions from the friend, are they good or bad questions from me or the friend?
It's a general question that I'm asking you. If a person uh, wants to develop the right kind of questioning, so what are good questions? What are bad questions, according to you?
Um, Good questions are ones when you think about it. Um, so, excuse me, if I use an example like, if you're watching a movie and a princess is wearing a blue gown, and there are other people watching with you, you ask them what color, and you can clearly see she's wearing a blue gown. You ask them what color is the gown. That's a bad question because you know what color her gown is. You don't need to really double check it because it's right in front of you. And you haven't been told before that you have bad eyesight or anything, so you shouldn't really question it. So that's a bad question. But a good question. is when you think about it, when you think about something, like you could say you could develop someone's point by saying, if you're in a class and the teacher is saying, um, um, if the teacher is saying that, why did this person did this because this was because of this, you could say, what was the third factor of them for doing this? If the teacher just says they did this because something motivated them to do it, you could say, what was that something? I think that's a good question. But something I think is not a good question, but is not a bad question either, is kind of your own opinionated question. It's kind of where a teacher is saying something like, so this person did this because um they they were hungry. You could ask them, why were they hungry? That has other aspects to it. You could think maybe they hadn't eaten, or maybe they wanted to eat something, but they weren't hungry. So that's why you could. I don't know if that makes sense, but I could explain it in another way.
I think if I understand the categories that you put up, the first category is questions for the heck of questioning because it does not lead to any furthering of knowledge. Second is the good questions definitely are the ones that help you further your understanding of any subject, whatever the subject is. And the third one that you mentioned is that it has the possibility of in, uh, making your understanding better, but you do not know at that point.
Yeah.
In fact, when you were answering, there is a certain connect that fell in place for me. Question may perhaps come from the word quest, which is to seek. And so, in a way, what we are talking about, there is a sense of seeking. So now, all questions are a manner of seeking something. Uh, so, what, according to you, at your age, at the way you look at the world, what is worth seeking for you?
Um. Yeah. I mean, I don't really. At my age, there's not many things that I feel the need to seek. Because I'm most of the time given the answer. I go since I do go to school, like and they do, like, they tell me, I'm in most of the time I'm in an environment where I'm allowed to um ask questions. So it's I don't really make it I don't really so if I have a question, I will ask it. If I have a good question, I will ask it. Whereas I will try to use my own myself, or like in our school we have this thing which is like brain, buddy, book, or boss. So brain is like we try to think of it. Book is we look in our book and try to see, oh, is this the correct answer, or can I look back at my other notes. Buddy is our friend, we can ask a friend. And boss, which is the last resource, is a teacher. So after you've asked the other three things in those order, then only you should ask the teacher if you still haven't found the answer.
Okay. So, okay, I'll try and get you out of the studious mold. I just remembered a question. We had seen some Hindi movie many years back, and we were fairly young then. Me and this friend, and in the movie there was a scene where this guy sees this girl. Uh, she's a Muslim girl, so she's wearing the hijab, and it kind of flows in the like goes up in the wind, and he sees her just for a glance and falls in love in the movie, and they are so passionately crazy about each other that they elope and get married and whatever. It was a typical movie thing. So me and this friend were discussing how is this possible. One glance and he knows that he wants to spend his life with her. It is such a big question. Now, this is what I mean. We are talking about something which is very trivial in a way because it is a scene from a movie. It is a fantasy of some director, some story writer, and yet it led to a question which could lead to some understanding of the subject.
Yeah.
So uh, my thrust of this conversation is more to ask you in terms of seeking. Uh, it's not just about the bookish knowledge where you have ready answers. That I think you are already quite sorted because most of the people around you that you can ask these questions to know the answer. So I'll ask you a very fun question. Um, as a kid, I was quite sure that all adults knew the answers to all questions.
Yeah.
I actually really believed it, and I was in a hurry to grow older. Like the people want to stay younger, and through a large part of my life, I wanted to grow older surely because I thought I would get all the answers. And
Yeah.
in a period of time, I realized there are even more questions than answers.
Yeah.
So, how does one make one's peace with that? So, suppose, okay, I'll try and probe what you said earlier. You said when your mother or somebody whom you trust says that wait, and you have convinced yourself that the answer will be better. I'm sure there are days when the answer is not as good as you thought it would be, even if it's a small thing. So you asked for something, and when you finally got it, and they had kept it from you, whoever it is. So the answer wasn't as great as you thought it would be. Or do such thoughts never cross your mind?
Yeah. Um. So when I it's like when I expect something, or if I try not to expect answers from people or a specific answer, because the more I expect, if it's not like the correct like expectation, then it's not as exciting, and I'm the one who gets underwhelmed. So those thoughts never really crossed my mind after the question's answered.
Okay. So is it okay to think that your underlying idea of curiosity is that it is a good trait to have, but it is not necessary that it always leads up a good trail per se.
So, sorry, could you explain that?
Yeah, I would say, for example, if one were to get into the questioning mode, I have known people when we have these uh, psychological kind of talks or deep talks about things, and uh, they have a question for every answer that comes up. So it's a habit of questioning and thinking that the question might bring up the answer. But sometimes just waiting, like you very rightly said, gives you the answer by itself, and you make your peace because you understand. Okay, oh, this is the reason why it was being withheld from me, and it's okay. I understand both perspectives. Is that the reason why you are not too keen about following up every question that arises for you?
Yeah, because if I try to understand both of the perspectives, and yeah, it's just I don't really find the need to ask any other questions that come to my head, because most of them are questions that are bad.
Okay. Um, what is the kind of subject that you would want to study in life?
Um, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you have any ambition as of right now? I want to become this or that.
I like fashion.
Fashion. Yeah. So how do you perceive that field? What are the questions that arise in your mind? What are the things that you like or dislike? How do you question yourself or others? Tell us something about.
Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, it's like if I think about a way, there's different ways, different styles of people wearing things. Men and women closets are very different. But obviously, they my opinions can differ from others, but there isn't really such as thing, even though in shops there are sections where it is women's and men's. I know lots of women, including me, who shop at men's, and lots of men. Some men also can shop at women's. Like, so it's just I don't really find the point then of having two different sections for them. But a lot of the time, I find it that everyone has their own different opinion. Well, most people have their own opinion on something or on a different style of clothing, whether they like it or not. So we could keep it to ourselves, because something like what we wear is a lot of people, if someone doesn't like it, a lot of people may think that maybe I should change it, which it can be a good thing. Like if I'm wearing something, I always ask my mum if it's okay, if it looks nice, and then if she says yes, then it's nice. If she says no, then I do try and change it, because it's about asking someone who you trust, who you know has the same understanding as you.
Okay, so I would want to ask you another question on this. Since you are interested in fashion, fashion is generally quite contemporary. It keeps changing every now and then. Uh, and that effectively means you just started questioning. So if one thing is in vogue at that point of time, you're questioning, okay, what if we change this and we add this or we delete this or we give it this kind of twist or this kind of thought. Uh, isn't that a constant sense of questioning which leads to better possibilities of answers? And
Uh,
if you were to have only this mindset that maybe I am wrong or easy acceptance, then you will not be able to challenge the status quo.
um, I don't really. Sorry, I don't understand. Again, sorry.
My simple question is a designer has a specific style because they look at the world in one particular way. It doesn't
Yeah,
it doesn't matter it is right or wrong. It's just their way of looking at the world. But they are convinced about their point of view. So there will be enough number of people who will say this is brilliant and equal number of people who will say that this is trash.
yeah,
So in their minds, they need to be ready for the questions and ready with the answers in their heads. Forget whether they are able to answer others or not. They are clear that this is what we want to do.
yeah,
Since you are keen about fashion as of right now, I'm not holding you onto it just for the sake of questioning.
yeah,
Um, I'm saying with your mindset of acceptance, easy acceptance of things and patience and uh, how